Hi, everybody. And to think, just about an hour or so ago, I was worried we'd have nothing to discuss today. In fact, I set up today's live for 3:45, and then I hopped onto a Zoom meeting. And when I got off, I saw that the Star Wars Hotel had gone out of business. Hey, Jakey, thanks for gifting a membership. And I was like, oh, thank goodness, because my Zazzy story was not very strong. Jerome, always very so kind to gift a membership. So we have some very exciting stuff to discuss today. The Disney tea is scalding. They both, I think they both, had a huge win today, but also an embarrassing loss. So it's really fascinating. I think it's only going to get worse for everybody because finally, I think especially with, wow, Michael, 20 memberships. That's so generous of you, Michael. Thank you. Hey, Coke. I'm glad, by the way, that the notifications are working again today so that you guys could know there was a live stream. Yeah, that's right, Olivia. No more Star Wars Hotel. That's our second story of the day. But let's start with our first story of the day, which is so juicy. Oh, is the Disney stock finally up? Thank goodness. I invested in them during the pandemic, and it's been nothing but red on my statement. All right, so let's take a look. Hold on. Story number, hey, Jakey. Story number one. We have a couple of birthdays. Happy birthday, Michael. And CJ, if you're on the stream, happy birthday to you as well. Oh, Bobby. Oh, that's so kind of you. Okay, here we go. Story. And by the way, keep your comments, please, to the story at hand, or I might not answer your question until the Q&A at the end. That's when you ask something that has nothing to do with what we're discussing. But, there's so much to talk about. Ricky Manhattan is not sinking, at least not discernibly. Heather, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. That's so kind of you. Thank you. All right, you ready? You ready? Oh, my goodness, this is a big one. Story number 1. Boop. That's right, Mr. Andrews. What a boop. Look, I love this picture. I love this picture that I found of Bob Iger looking like he just doesn't give an S anymore. He's like, whatever, He's like, F you, man. And Ron DeSantis is like, did not see this coming. Although, I think Ron DeSantis is going to hit back hard. Hey, Croc, thank you for gifting a membership as well. Hey, Ronnie. So, thank you for gifting a membership. That's easy for you. All right, so let me focus on the story at hand. So unless you gift a membership, I'm gonna focus on the story. Okay? All right. So, oh my gosh, it's incredible. So, finally, you have a situation where it's finally going to affect the consumer and the citizen. Beforehand, everybody was just enjoying the fight between Disney and Ron DeSantis from the sidelines. It was a spectator sport. You weren't in the fight, but suddenly you are. And that's where it's going to start, I think, to get ugly. And I think it's going to escalate very quickly. And I think things are going to happen very quickly on both sides. Who knows where it's going to end, man? But I will tell you, it's going to be really, really ugly. All right, so it was just announced about an hour or so ago that Disney had pulled the plug on their Lake Nona $1 billion development in Central Florida. Here's a map of it. Hold on, here you go. There it is, right near the airport. Woo! Who else would sink $1 billion next to the airport? God bless Disney. Well, at least that's how things were going to go down. So they were going to develop this lovely property and turn it into some big corporate wonderland. Not anymore. Because a lot of us have been like, why don't they just shut? A lot of people have been like, even a lot of states have said, hey, Disney, why don't you move your theme park to us? And people are like, I'm not gonna pick up 4 theme parks and move it over to another state. But they can not build something that they were planning to build. It had been pushed to 2026, and it was a big point of contention. In fact, it's the Lake Nona project that got them involved in this fight with Florida in the first place. Because a number of their employees, when they had the Don't Say Gay bill introduced, a lot of employees said, I can't believe you're going to make me move to this state. Especially because people said we're an LGBT family and you're putting me in a very harmful place for environment for myself and my family. And so that's the whole reason that this fight started. But it's because a lot of Disney employees didn't want to move to Florida after that happened. So it was it's just crazy. So now they're not, so they can't cancel Disney World, although I feel that's still in the cards. This was an easier thing to do. So they canceled this. And let's talk about the amazing repercussions of this right away. So it was a $1 billion investment. And the reason that they did it was because Florida at the time had given them a $570 million tax break over the course of 20 years to not only to develop this land, but to move high-paying jobs to Florida. I was actually just talking to somebody a few minutes ago from Florida about this. And they talked about the fact that Florida does not have a lot of high-paying jobs, like corporate jobs. And this was supposed to not only move a lot of Disney jobs, corporate jobs to Florida, but hopefully encourage maybe other companies to do the same. The average salary of the 1,000 jobs that Disney was going to move to Lake Nona was $120,000 a year. That was the average salary. Jakey, this I think is going to be very good for DeSantis' opponents in the Republican primary, because they're going to say companies might move out of the United States. Not only would maybe foreign companies move out of here, but you might have more U.S. companies move their stuff overseas. So it was 2,000 jobs overall, Carlos, but I think it was going to create 1,000 new jobs, and it was going to relocate 1,000 new people. But it was 2,000 jobs overall. It was going to involve Disney Imagineering. And I've been hearing from multiple people that I know who know people in Imagineering that they are literally throwing a party right now because they don't have to move. Some people, unfortunately, decided to move right away, and Disney said, we'll see if we can move you back to California. But those people might be, just a casualty, which is pretty uncool. But, so yes, that's right, Kay Walton. I didn't even think of that. Construction contracts, done. This was a huge complex they were going to build. Like, absolutely huge. Let me bring up an image of that. I didn't have one, but your construction thing is making me feel like I should bring it in here. Hold on, let me get it. It's beautiful concept art, baby. Even I was like, ooh, that looks fun. Here, this is a pretty good one. Let's bring this up. Here it is. Look at that. Ooh, that was going to be the complex. They were going to build this right here. You can see it has lots of entertainment and shopping as well. Like a whole new downtown Disney. Gone. Oh, it's so bad. So construction, gone. The jobs, gone. The office complex that they were going to house these people in, gone. And that means potentially bringing other companies into, I think they were hoping that a lot of other companies would want to be in the same corporate complex as Disney. Yeah, I'm sorry about this, Aria, for you. And I think that's the point, though. I think that Bob Iger is trying to finally make it so that he can turn the voters in Florida against Ron DeSantis. But that's tricky. So not only is the corporate office complex going away, but all the entertainment that was going to be built there, all the jobs that would go in with the entertainment, like waitresses, entertainers, managers, all kinds of stuff like that, security. Also, how about the real estate value around the Lake Nona development? If you had a home around there or had recently purchased one, hoping that the price would go up when Lake Nona finally opened, not going to happen anymore. In fact, the price on your real estate house or land is probably going to plummet. People might have bought land around there or owned land and thought that once this happened, it would drive up the land value because people would want to be near this complex. Nope. Now, not only are you not getting that boost, your stuff's probably going to depreciate. This is a very painful thing to do. As I said, this is no longer just between DeSantis and Iger. It has spread out to other people. And it's a very cruel thing. There's no winners at this point. It's really bad, okay? And some people I'm sure will be upset with Disney for doing it. But I don't blame them. Why should they continue to invest all this money? And Gavin Newsom, who also is considering a run for president, although I don't think he's very viable either, he's saying, hey, look, California's keeping the jobs. We're keeping these jobs over here. So it's really bad. But I think that, as I said, I think everybody was taking out the popcorn and enjoying it. I think particularly a lot of Florida voters were like, yeah, DeSantis, get him. And now they're like, oh, I got punched in the face. That's kind of what it's like. It's all fun and games until someone gets punched in the face. So it's really, really bad. So that's the point, to turn the voters in Florida against DeSantis, to really, really finally make them say, hey, enough is enough already. Now you're starting to hurt us. Now, the question, though, is what will DeSantis do? DeSantis is about, the rumor is that DeSantis is going to announce running for president next week. And I'm sure this was no accident that Disney decided to make this announcement today. So next week, DeSantis is supposed to announce his run for president. Now, he's really got to be careful, okay? He doesn't want to come in there looking weak. So my guess, he has the power now to shut down the monorail and Disney attractions, I think starting July 1st. Oh, Jerry, thank you for gifting 10 memberships. That's very kind of you. Itzante says it was never just between DeSantis and Iger. DeSantis was negatively impacting the lives of... Well, that's true, Itzante, but a lot of people didn't feel that it was. That they felt... The point is a lot of people felt that they were not involved, and they have just been drawn in. And that's what's important, making people realize that they have a dog in this fight. So it's like really, really incredible. So DeSantis, I am sure, is going to be aggressive. I'm sure that he's going to be aggressive. He wants to put maybe poles on the roads. But again, if you shut down a ride or you shut down the monorail, that affects the consumer. That affects the consumer experience. And again, it's suddenly no longer just a fight that's happening over there. So I think that that's really bad. I think that, I think people are going to find out what their breaking point is as to how far they're willing. A lot of people were in favor of what DeSantis was doing because they supported his position, particularly in the state of Florida. But the question is now going to become not just what's Ron DeSantis' breaking point, but what's their breaking point. So, yeah, Disney's just trying to put tremendous pressure on DeSantis from all sides. And I think give his opponents in the primaries material to use against DeSantis when he starts running for president. I think the only other thing left for Disney to do if DeSantis starts shutting down rides would be to shut down the parks, as I said before. Shut them down and send everybody home who works there, and not have any of the people come to visit the state. See if Universal can hold the state up. If it got that bad, that's what Chad, I already wished you a happy birthday. I'm glad you made it. I think that's definitely going to have to be on the table. Make people cancel their trips or have their trips canceled on them. See what happens when all the small little stores who rely on people traveling to Florida for business, for their business, see if that's enough. And so, we'll see how ugly it gets. I think canceling a $1 billion development as your opening salvo is pretty serious. So as I said, I think things are already escalating very quickly. I think the stakes are very high. On one side, you have Disney, which is making billions, literally billions of dollars off the Orlando park alone. And then on the other side, you have a man who wants to be president. And he's using Disney as his platform. So those are really high stakes on both sides. That's why it's like, what happens when a huge force hits an immovable object? That's kind of what we're dealing with here. Trace, you can't move Disney because it's just too expensive. Hero says moving the cruise ships. That's great, Hero. I didn't even think of that. You can definitely move the cruise ships. That's brilliant. Hero 75, go tweet Bob Iger. He's on Twitter. That's probably the next move. Move the cruise ships to Texas or maybe North Carolina. They have several here in New York City. But that's the next thing they can do, to move and then you wouldn't be able, North Carolina, Heather, I bet North Carolina is what they would pick, because North Carolina, I think, would be the most friendly to them. So they would move the cruises to North Carolina, and it would be harder for people to package. I think that would suck a little bit for Disney, but you could, because you can't really package the Disney World trip with the cruise then. But their cruises are extremely popular. And I think to move them, and then also they would need, Georgia too, Jakey. I think they have a lot of good options for moving those ships. That was a brilliant idea to move the ships. I bet that Hero's right. I bet that's the next move. Move the ships, because that's the easiest thing to do next. As I told you, this is going to go very fast. And it's going to happen. It's going to escalate. It's going to be ugly. Suddenly we're involved. And I think that, as I said, DeSantis is not going to easily fold, because if DeSantis folds on this, I think I think his presidency is a non-starter, quite frankly, for many reasons. But I think that, the whole thing that makes him attractive to the extremists that he's courting is this kind of behavior. So if he were to fold to Disney, he would not be able to run for president anymore. So it's just going to be insane. I think we've never seen anything like this. We've never seen a government fight with a company before like this. And Bob Iger is, not afraid to fight, which is really incredible. Bob Chapek was kind of like, I don't like any of this, But Bob Iger is has tons of money, is almost retired. He was retired and came back out of retirement. And I think he's like, F it, I don't care. And also, Bob Iger is a moderate. Bob Iger, in the past, has been very friendly with Republicans. And I think he probably still has a lot of Republican friends. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't moving behind the scenes to influence. Ron DeSantis might find that he can get very little investment in his campaign. Because I think Bob Iger is going to go behind the scenes and, back a more moderate candidate. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. You thought succession was fiction or exaggerated. It did not. Business influencing government in the future. That's amazing. Norwegian Kryptonian says, I find people saying Disney should just move out of Florida are hilarious. It's the size of Manhattan. That's true. I think it can't move, but I think it can shut down for a month or two so that everybody is out of work. That would be, I think, like a really, really... I don't know how fast that's going to happen, but I do know it's one of the final plays because it would be so extreme. Thanks, Michael. Matthew says DeSantis will never back down. I think there's because he can't run for governor again, right? Because he's running maybe for president. I guess they'd have to wait until the next governor elect, which I think the governor election's another 2 years away, maybe. So it's going to get really ugly. DeSantis hasn't even responded that I've seen yet. He's probably so apoplectic and just can't believe it. And I'm sure he's getting I'm sure there are so many businesses that have been impacted by this decision that it's probably stunning. The construction losses alone are just unbelievable. Okay, so let's do a poll. And then while you guys vote in the poll, you can ask me questions about this. So hold on, start a poll. DeSantis versus Disney. What should happen next? We'll do go Disney. Go DeSantis. It's anonymous vote, and then this needs to end. So you can vote on that. So does anyone have any questions about this story in particular? I shall meet you at the monorail. You got a horse in this race. Says if they have to shut down, give discounts to other parks in other states. I guess they could technically try and move your vacation to Disneyland. They could. That would be fascinating. That's right, Heather. This probably really affects the airlines as well. There are so many flights that fly to Orlando. It is a huge, huge, flight for many, many airlines. Screen Favorite says he's made construction and food delivery bad in the last few weeks. Some places can't even get gas. Oh, is it really that bad in Florida? Ross says exactly. Most of the construction workers in Florida have already walked out before the news dropped. Was that good or bad? Michael, you gifted another 20 memberships? That's so generous of you, Michael. That's very kind. Hey, Luna. Spencer says, I ain't ever seen anything like this. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. It joins the list of things that we've seen that are unprecedented. And the last, I'd say 5 years or so many things happen where you're beforehand you were oh, if that happened, if you wrote that in a movie, nobody would believe it. That guy says Latino truck drivers are boycotting the state. They're having supply chain problems. Oh, that's fascinating. That's great. I think Ron DeSantis is going to be surprised how little support he has on the national level. I think everybody who likes him already moved to Florida. I think on the national level, I think he's going to get a wake-up call. Ron DeSantis responded. Let's see what he said. Hold on. Annie says, what's the best outcome that you see from this? Getting rid of Ron DeSantis. I don't want to make this like, I think this is above, and just to be clear, I think this is above and beyond conservatives versus liberals. I think this has reached like Trump levels, and I think it's really bad. So let's see here. Oh, Disney's trending #1, everything. Oh my God, it's blowing up. This is the only thing that can knock Mortal Kombat 1 off of the top of the thing. Let me just see. What is he saying? What did he say? I don't see what he said. I think it would be really trending if he had said something. I don't see anything. Lord Baratheon says, hold on, where did that go? All right, let me answer these questions. Felipe says, would love to see Disney expand to Atlanta, Georgia. There's already so much filming here. Plus, we have the busiest airport in the world. I just don't think they can move things. You know, I mean, Florida would have to succeed from the union for them, I think, to be like, okay, how much would it cost to move this? I mean, I guess if DeSantis won re-election in 2 years, they'd be like, all right, let's run up the budget and see what it would be. But I think that it's too hard to move it. Lord Baratheon says, what do you think of Trump's comments about DeSantis' war with Disney is a very bad idea? I'm not quite sure what you're saying. I think all of the Republican other candidates are going to attack Ron DeSantis for being anti-business, which has been a cornerstone of the Republican Party for decades. Like, they are the party that does not bother business. So if they lose that, what do they have? Stephen Turner says, you DM'd me the statement, Cosmics? Let's see here. While many people in Florida agree with DeSantis on political issues, I think once it hits their wallets, they will turn on him. Totally agree, Stephen. All right, okay. All right, yeah, okay. So DeSantis is saying, this is just his office, saying, given the companies, Disney announced the possibility of a Lake Nona campus nearly 2 years ago. Nothing ever came of the project, and the state was unsure whether it would come to fruition. Given the company's financial straits, falling market cap, and declining stock price, well, it's up now, baby. It is unsurprising that they would restructure their business operations and cancel unsuccessful ventures. I mean, I think that that doesn't mean anything. I mean, I think, like, what's the point of that? You know, like, you're gonna, like, that's a real, like, that's just, like, they had to say something. It makes no sense to make that comment. Like, oh, they were going to cancel it no matter what. That's not true that they were going to cancel it no matter what. And what's he going to say to the people who whose property values is going down? I mean, that's a statement for the national audience. That's not a statement for the people who are directly affected by this. Luis says, do you think that Disney needs to find another state to build a new park? No, I think they can't. It's too much money. That they have hotels, they have theme parks. They can't move it. Jimmy says, Fox News has already gone all in on DeSantis. Preempted most of last weekend's shows for DeSantis speeches in Iowa. Well, I think that, let's see. I think Fox News doesn't want to have the exact same problem they had last time. Let's see here. Glalie Master, hey, how you doing? Michael Kirby says, might Disney expedite plans to build another park somewhere else? Again, no, I don't think they will. I think they already have their global parks, and they don't want to dilute their business. They're right now, their theme parks are their most profitable column. It's the most profitable corner of the Disney empire. It's really business. That's why they take this so seriously. Thanks, Jay, for gifting a membership. Tyler says, how do you feel about Disney close? We're going to talk about that next, Tyler, about the Galactic Starcruiser. Colton says, DeSantis is trying to save face. I think he's trying to downplay it. I think that I agree, Colton. I think he's trying to downplay it. Like it's got nothing to do with him. He's just an excuse because Disney wasn't going to do it. 71% of you in the poll. I just closed the poll. Hold on. I hope it shows up. It did. 71% of you say go Disney. 19% of you want this to end now. And only 9% of you are on DeSantis' side. That sounds about right to me, actually. From a national perspective or global perspective, I think that in Florida, DeSantis seems like he has the majority. And in fact, he might. But once he gets into a bigger pool, a bigger pond, I think he's going to find that, Florida is really is as far as he can go. If I were another business, I'd be very worried about DeSantis as a president. Jimmy Touchdown says DeSantis is term limited. Are there term limits for governor in Florida? Jake Van Norden says, is Bob Iger a strong ally of the LGBT community? I wouldn't call him a strong ally, quite frankly, of anything. I think Bob Iger is a businessman, and he's a mover and a shaker. But I think that he understands that there are certain things that you just support because they're the right thing to do. And I think that includes the LGBT community. You can't be the head of a company like Disney, which has been built by LGBT people, not only as fans, but the company itself. If you go and you watch old Disney documentaries about the people who work there in animation and Imagineering, you can see a lot of either outrightly LGBT members or people who were closeted because of the time. Howard Ashman, who single-handedly saved Disney animation, was, of course, LGBT. So Disney just owes such a debt of gratitude to them. It's a non-starter to think anything else. Let's see here. Florida governor term limits. Oh, it's a big search because everybody wants to know. Oh, yeah, only 2 consecutive terms. Excellent. No wonder he wants to run for president. He's got nothing else to do. Let's see here. I guess who said that? Somebody said DeSantis should make peace with Iger. That would be the smartest thing to do. If DeSantis was just like, hey, man, this has gotten out of hand, because Bob Iger doesn't want to have this fight either, quite frankly. That's the thing. But that's the other problem, though. Bob Iger's not going to stop coming out against Florida's policies. So I don't really see how they could, because, it's a bigger fight than just this. I don't see how they can get around it, quite frankly. Hey, Jazzy Renee. Katie Lady says, I wish conservatives still existed or had a stronger voice in their party. I've been saying for a long time we need a third political party. I think the Republican Party, not conservatives, but the Republican Party has kind of become evil. And then I think Democrats are incompetent. So what a combination. Let's see here. Amer says, Queen Grace, thank you so much for being an LGBTQ ally. It's so disheartening to see people like this. Yeah, it is disheartening, Amer. And of course, I support you all the way. Let's see here. That's right, I shall meet you at the monorail. Watch Waking Sleeping Beauty. And then Michael Kirby says, Grace, what would you do if you were Bob? I would do exactly what Bob Iger is doing. I'd be right now thinking about where I wanted to move those cruise ships. I'd be like I picked that picture of Bob Iger for a reason. Bob Iger has had it. I think that I think Bob Iger not only wants to destroy DeSantis like at the state level, but I think he's like, that man shall never be president. I think that it's just, and by the way, Bob Iger destroyed Bob Chapek. So he's already one down. So, because he picked Bob Chapek, and then he was like, this was a mistake. This guy doesn't want to play ball with me. I hate him. And he got rid of Bob Chapek. So Bob Iger, I would not underestimate Bob Iger. Bob Iger is just a really smooth operator. At one point, he wanted to run for president, in fact. But I think his family was like, we don't want to be put through this. And he was like, yeah, I can see that. Steven says, by the way, yesterday would have been Howard Ashman's 73rd birthday. That's so sad that Howard Ashman died, passed away from AIDS. Raphael says, I'm sure that the immigration law skyrocketing the building costs is what made the decision for Iger. You mean the immigration law in Florida? I think really it was to send a message. I'm sure there are other little elements where they were like, man, that's a nice little cherry on top of this sundae. But I think the main thing was just to completely just smack DeSantis in the face. Isaac says the cultural war won't let DeSantis stop this feud. It's win or lose. Well, I think he really needs to take a look, DeSantis, at how big is the peanut gallery cheering him on? Is it presidential? Is it enough for him to win a presidential election? I would say no, it's not. Let's see here. Iraq says, what does DeSantis want in the end? To end happiness? He wants to be president. He wants to be president, for sure. Oh, Austin, it's my pleasure. Austin says, thank you, Grace, for having these conversations, but not making conservatives like me feel like the problem. I was just talking to someone, as I said about this, we were like, remember the days when the other party might win and you would be like, well, that's going to be annoying for me, but at least it's not going to be the end of the world. You know, like I really wish we would go back to a situation where, you know, we were more alike than we were different. And I feel like hate clicking and hate watching, you know, the fairness doctrine, which Dick Cheney actually got rid of thanks to Karl Rove during, I think, the first Bush administration. Vice points this out by Adam McKay. They got rid of the fairness doctrine, which stated that news organizations couldn't have a perspective. They had to present both sides of every argument, hence the name of the fairness doctrine. But they got rid of that, which they allowed for the creation of Fox News. I think the amount of damage that Fox News and things like that have done to this country is shocking. Curlian Vander says the two-party system has polarized America. I would agree with that. I would say the majority of people in the world are moderates. Mando says Bob Iger has been so badass throughout this war. He is a tough dude in his little sweater vest. He's like Mr. Rogers, and you know, Mr. Rogers. There's a picture of him giving somebody the finger. Allison said he could move the cruise ships to California. Oh, Allison, you're right. And then he could just couple the cruise with the Disneyland vacation. Oh, Allison, you solved it. That's a great idea. For all of you saying that, that's very kind. It's my pleasure to support you. I feel like there are certain things which you can just obviously see on the face are just cruel. Juan Carlos says, when Mexico got a third party, that's when democracy flourished. The party stopped organizing elections, and it's the people who organize them. That's great. I'm glad you feel things are going very well in Mexico, Juan. Let's see here. And Nate says, thank you so much for being an LGBTQ ally. I feel so much support watching your content, especially in these divisive times. Been a huge fan since 2016. My absolute pleasure. That's right, John. This is real life Succession. You can't make this stuff up. It's nuts. On that note, let's talk about something else that's incredible and a little bit embarrassing for Disney, quite frankly. All right, hold on. So it wasn't all good news for Disney today. Boop! The Star Wars Hotel is closing. Oh my God, it only lasted a little over a year. Although, I gotta tell you, anybody who is a Disney fan whatsoever knew this wasn't gonna make it. I knew it wasn't gonna make it as soon as they announced it. So the Star Wars Hotel, which, oh, thank you, Paulina, that's so sweet of you to say. The Star Wars Hotel, that's right, Mika, the Quibi of hotels. That's hilarious. It's the windowless hotel, Denzel, but it has a digital space window. All right, so it was a concrete bunker with 100 hotel rooms, and it was supposed to be this really immersive experience. But as Cosmics pointed out, it was ridiculously expensive. So it was just announced that the Star Wars Hotel has been giving discounts for a while. And so everybody knew that it was not doing well. Oh, my pleasure, Jay King. Thank you. That's very kind of you. It's absolutely my honor and pleasure to do it. But they just announced today that the final voyage of the Star Wars cruiser will be September 28th through the 30th. And I think that they're reorganizing some of the vacations that were further out because they put a pause on bookings until I think they take care of those customers who've already paid. And then October 1st, it will close. And it opened March 1st, 2022. Mish, that's hilarious. Order 66 on this Galactic Starcruiser. That's right. So it lasted March 1st, 2022 to October 1st, 2023, just about a year and a half. Oh my goodness. I don't think any of us are at all surprised. I'm quite frankly surprised it lasted as long as it did. So here are my feelings about what was the problem. And we'll do a poll, okay? So hold on. Thoughts on Star Wars Hotel. Now, even the name was stupid. It's the Star Wars Hotel. A lot of people felt they should have just built a Star Wars themed hotel that you stayed at like any other hotel and you went through to the parks and came back. But instead, you had to be locked in here for like less than 48 hours. It was really stupid. Okay, so anyway, that's on Star Wars Hotel. I went, and then wanted to go someday. It was such a dumb idea. Okay. And then also a fourth option, which I want to talk about, and it says, would like to see building used for something else. We'll talk about that. Would like to see it used for other. I only have so many characters. There. Okay, there you can vote there. Hold on, I'm going back. I saw your comment. Jason says both sides have their networks and they're run by the... You're talking about the last story. The problem in our society is the rich versus the poor. Well, I agree with you on that to some degree, Jason. I keep saying the death of the middle class has been really detrimental to this country, but I do feel extremism on both sides is problematic. I feel very strongly about that. Very strongly about it. I'm not a fan of extremism. Okay. All right. So I thought that the quality of the experience, in my opinion, was poor. When they first previewed Galaxy's Edge, Galaxy's Edge a little bit too. But when they, thank you, Jay. When they first previewed the Star Wars Hotel, I think a lot of us were like, that looks really bad. Like, it didn't look like you were on a movie set. It looked like you were in like an escape room, like a cheap escape room, but yet it was a very expensive experience. Then the other problem is that it was like thousands of dollars for just barely 2 days. Like if you looked at the itinerary, you were really not on vacation. They were really running you through that experience fast. You really had no relaxation time. They didn't have a pool. You know, they had nothing to you could never relax. It was just like, talk about being a member of the Galactic Empire's forces. And then it was so expensive that you couldn't add it to a vacation. I think ideally, like I'm the only person in my family who would have any interest in this. So there's no way I could talk my family into doing this for the entire vacation. Maybe I could have said for 1 day and they'd be like, okay. But for the fact that we would have to fly down to Florida, Mr. Andrews, it costs typically around, I'd say $3,000 to $5,000, depending on the size of your group. So you're not going to fly or drive to Florida just for less than 2 days in this experience. So that was just really stupid. And so I think the bottom line was the cost and the quality. I think if you felt like you were in a movie and actors from the movies were showing up, then maybe they could have made it work. Although I think the price point never would have worked. It should have been an add-on, a day add-on. And I also feel they should have just built a hotel that seemed like Rogue One with palm trees, and you just, after a busy day at the parks, you went home to a Star Wars hotel. That seems to me to be obviously what they should have done. And they didn't do it. It was really dumb. So I feel like, what are they going to do with that giant building? It's Star Wars themed already. It does seem just like an escape room. So they could either just completely, Daniel, I don't think the hotel's rooms were particularly nice. So they could knock it down, or they could create an experience that's like, they could create an experience that you could do for half a day or a whole day. So you could make it part of your theme park experience. Although I have to tell you, again, based on the quality of what we saw, I don't really think that would even work. I would just knock it down, quite frankly. And I don't think immersive hotels I don't think there's a business for it. I think there's a business for immersive events, but it's a one night, it's like, I think Universal's Halloween haunted nights are the most immersive that you want to see, like immersive for like a couple of hours. That to me, I think is the only thing I can see people being interested in. Let me answer some of your questions here. I saw some questions go by. Oh, bye, Isaac, if you're still here. Have a good time at work. All right, what are the questions? Hold on. Daniel says, Disney's goal of a Star Wars hotel was to go after the whales. Unfortunately, most of us are halibuts. Oh, that's an adorable thing to say. Yeah, I think that, but also a whale pays for the experience, not for the hotel. And I don't think they offered enough of an experience. And I think that, a whale, I think that's Vegas talk. But the reason that a whale exists is that for the magical moment where they can double or triple their investment on their gambling. So that's why they do it. You're never going to make any money going to the Star Wars hotel. Blair says Encanto Hotel instead. What a cute idea. I never thought of it as a hotel. I've always heard people talk about it as a possible attraction, but that's an adorable idea. Like a bed and breakfast Encanto style. I would be interested in that because, it's supposed to be alive. That's a really cute idea, Blair. Let's see here. Logan says, Star Wars is a franchise where the magic is gone once it becomes too real, in your opinion. The hotel was DOA. Star Wars does well when it's not as attainable in real life. That's interesting, Logan. That's true. I've never been to Galaxy's Edge because of the stupid pandemic. But whenever I went in Hollywood Studios on the ride, it never really worked for me for some reason, even though I do like Star Wars. Let's see. I'm going back over these questions that I missed. Devin says, could they still use it as a regular hotel? Well, it's windowless. And as I said, it doesn't have a pool deck. So I don't think so. I think people and that's the other thing. It was not particularly luxurious for the price. You're paying for a 4-star resort and you're getting like a moderate resort. Sean says, burn it down. That's funny. Get the insurance money, Disney. Cole says it was dumb and more dystopian than Waystar's Living Plus thing from Succession. It's funny, Cole, but when they pitched Living Plus on Succession, I was like, I could see people buying that. Steven says, what about an Avengers training compound hotel? Nope, don't do it, Steven. Don't fall for it. Avengers training experience for a couple hours a day? Yes, I could see that working, but I don't think you can do it in a hotel. Nobody wants to be locked in the hotel. They want to then go to the theme park. Stephen Turner says, what if they turn into some sort of Avatar theme place that you can stay? Oh, that's interesting. Or an Avatar experience. Turn it into a bunch of escape rooms. But it does, with all the concrete, it could be Avatar too. That's an interesting idea. That's interesting. But I don't know. That seems kind of cheap for Disney. Curlian says, did they even release the retractable lightsaber? No, it's too expensive. It would also break too easily. So I think it was only ever used for shows. Austin says, expand Galaxy's Edge and make a new ride in the building. Well, that would be good if it was anywhere near Galaxy's Edge. You had to take like a bus, which was an immersive bus with no windows to go to Galaxy's Edge. They're like, ooh, you're on the transport. And you were like, I know it's a bus, man. Let's see here. Olivia says, what is the main reason why it closed, if it had one? Too expensive, I think, would be the main reason. Just not feasible from a monetary perspective. Let's see here. Navy EMT says they need to use to expand Galaxy's Edge. They make it to an add-on attraction, around $300 a person. You don't want to wait in line? Oh, thank you, Kyle, for gifting a membership. Let's see here. Michael says, got to run. Birthday celebrations await. Oh, Michael, you're the Michael. Oh, Michael, you gave everybody gifts on your birthday? That's incredible. Oh, Michael, that's really kind of you. Happy birthday. I hope that you have a great day. To be so generous on your own birthday, I hope that the karma comes back to you tenfold. Let's see here. Hey, Kev. Let's see here. Let's see. Okay, hold on. Let me close this. All right, I am closing the poll. 44% of you thought it was a dumb idea. 30% would like to see the building used for something else. 23% were hoping to go someday. See, that means that there was something there. And they priced people out of it, which is sad. And then 1% of you went. I hope you had a good time. Daniel, thank you for gifting a membership. That's very kind of you. Let's see here. Logan says a new Hollywood Experience Center with all the IP that is not Disney proper. Star Wars, Marvel. I don't know. How would you get to it? Because again, it's far away. You would think they would have built it right off of Hollywood Studios, but they didn't because it's just so stupid. All right, so let's move on to the next story of the day, and then we'll get to the Q&A where you can ask me anything that you would like. But wow, what an embarrassing situation. Did anyone have any questions about this in particular? Juan, you want Disney Quest back there? Oh, look, Kareem, trying to fast forward us. Any questions about this story in particular before we move on? Mr. Andrews says, why was it so expensive? Well, it cost a lot of money to pay these actors to be available for long periods of time. It was like a 24-hour show. All right, looks like it's ready to boom, baby, move us into the next one. All right, I see you guys fast forwarding it. All right, boom, baby. Next story, SAG. Oh, CJ. CJ also gave a gift on his birthday. So kind of you, CJ. I hope you're having a great day. All right, so SAG strike. Oh, yes. Here come the actors, and this is going to be pretty aggressive. So there's Fran Drescher on the left there. Fran Drescher is the current president of SAG. She apparently beat out Matthew Modine because recently she said some comments that upset everybody, and they said we should have voted for Matthew Modine. So Fran Drescher was, at that very moment, she was wearing that outfit. She was interviewed, I believe, by Deadline, and they were like, the Screen Actors Guild, do they stand with the Writers Guild? And she was like, kind of, but I think we want different things. And everyone was like, whoa, Fran, what are you talking about? We want the exact same thing. And a lot of people started calling her out. Just like, I don't know if you've noticed, everybody's upset with Jimmy Fallon because he stopped paying his writers. He was the first talk show host to stop paying his writing staff out of his own pocket while they're on strike. And everybody got really angry. So she's like Jimmy Fallon. So people were like, easy for you to say, Fran, because you're living off of the nanny royalties forever. So people are, and also apparently, as Mika said, she's married to the guy who created email. So Fran Drescher is set for life monetarily. So people felt she was pretty tone deaf when looking after the rights of the rest of the group. Warlocks, Jimmy says Jimmy Fallon couldn't afford it probably. I think he just has to dig deep and find the money because everybody else can afford it who is in his same space. I think his team should be like Jimmy. Just think of it as an investment in your publicity. Because, I mean, he gets paid millions of dollars a year. I think you might not be aware how much talk show hosts get paid. So it's pretty bad. All right, so anyway, I think, he should have called up some of the other hosts and been like, how much longer is this going to happen? I think being the first to fold is what's really a bad look. It's not good. I saw him getting harassed on Blue Social. I'm on Blue Social, actually, but I have to set up my account with pictures and stuff. Right now, I just have the account. All right, so anyway, Fran Drescher got a lot of people really angry with her. So she's like, uh-oh, I don't want to be Jimmy Fallon. So the board of SAG has recommended to their members a Blue Sky Social. It's, started by the guy who started Twitter. All right, so anyway, the board of SAG has unanimously recommended to their members to vote to allow them to call a strike. Just like the Writers Guild did. They can't call a strike without the approval of their membership. So they have to get everybody to approve it. So the votes have gone out. Voting ends June 5th, and negotiations start June 7th for a contract with Screen Actors Guild, which ends June 30th. So that's the earliest I think that the actors could go on strike. You go on strike once your contract ends because you no longer have a contract with the studios. So the actors have actually gone on strike before. Well, we all recall the writers' strike. Nobody remembers the actors' strike because that happened back in 1980. And it lasted apparently for 95 days. And guess what it was over? Guess what it was over? Pay television and VHS sales. Oh, sounds a lot like today. So the more things change, the more they stay the same. So I think they really want to speed up. This is very aggressive for them to say they want to strike more than a month before they potentially would. I think that they're really showing how serious they could get. Talk about things escalating. DeSantis versus Disney. Talent versus the studios. Everybody's fighting, man. It's really rough. And if the actors go on strike, production is definitely shut down because you can't film anything. There's nobody to put in front of camera. So then that's when stuff's going to get real. So that's the idea. And so they're fighting over the same stuff, but for a little bit different reasons. So everybody, again, is fighting over royalties in the streaming era. They're like, we want our cut because that's what we make our living off of. Fran Drescher never had to work again because she got the nanny. And she's like, I probably don't want to make people not want to watch that show because that's going to really hurt her, her residuals. But then also artificial intelligence. There was a tweet, I don't know if you saw it online, but it said that somebody said they worked for a book company that makes audiobooks, for people to listen to. And that they were transitioning to an AI service that would read the book to you, and it only cost the company $20 a month, and they would stop using actors. Who wants a book read to them by a robot, man? But, a lot of voice actors who are working at that level, who make their living by reading you books on tape, that's horrible to take their livelihood away from them like that. Actors, when people hear actor, they think it's some glamorous lifestyle. But remember, only 1% of Screen Actors Guild members, I think it's only 1% are rich. And then I think like 10% or so are like able to make a living. They don't have to have another job. I mean, Hollywood is a very low paying business for the most part. And people don't seem to understand that. But anyway, I also heard that a lot of people are talking about AI, and I also heard someone talk about the fact that a lot of these AI companies are overhyping, overpromising what they can do because they want to make all their money up front. It's like a big boom. They're like, oh, AI can solve all your problems, give me money. And I think a lot of people are saying, I think these companies are going to be surprised, but that doesn't mean it's not going to get worse before it gets better. Somebody else who's a BTC member reached out to me privately who works in airline reservations and said that the airlines are considering using artificial intelligence to handle reservations instead of people. I don't know about you, but I always want to talk to a person. I'm always like Agent Zero. How do I speak to a real person? Get me off the AI. I hate that. And so the fact that that would be all that's available is horrifying. And we continue to march towards this future where people don't have jobs. They just get a universal income from the government and they just become consumers. And we're just rocketing towards Wall-E. So it's just crazy. Navy EMT, I don't agree. I think that there is going back. I think the government needs to aggressively regulate it. Maybe we'll have, just like we have Space Force, maybe we'll have to have a new branch, like we have the FBI and the CIA. Maybe we'll have to have technology intelligence. Ooh, that's both scary and a cool idea for a series and/or movie. That's right, Chad. Representative. I never thought of saying representative because they never understand what I'm saying. Agent. I'll try representative. It has more consonants in it. I like that. But yeah, I think we might need a group just like the FBI and the CIA. Hey, Kirsten Dunst fan. Thanks. I like Kirsten Dunst too. But that's what I would say. We need an organization to police technology. Technology police. It really is truly becoming all those futuristic movies that we watched, which are less interesting because they seem too much like real life. Oh, Dory does voices. Oh, by the way, Dory does voices. I hope this isn't too bad for you, this situation. I hope things are going well for you. But Kirsten Dunst is not only married to Jesse Plemons, but she's been getting a lot more work recently. She's doing pretty well. All right, everybody. Does anybody have any questions about this before we go to Ask Me Anything? That's right, Jason. Neil Blomkamp is like, all my dreams are coming true. Or nightmares, I guess you could say. Lauren says, someone wrote on Twitter, I don't want to live in a world where humans work minimum wage jobs and AI writes music and draws art. Oh, that's so revolting, but I think very possible. Yeah, I don't want to watch a movie or look at a painting or listen to a robot. I have no interest in that. Brody says, Grace, I work in the film industry and these strikes are starting to get really scary. I'm sure they are, Brody, but they're necessary because you're fighting off of an even scarier future. Like, we got nothing to talk about on the streams, but I'm not complaining about it because this needs to be done. David says, when does the review embargo lift for The Little Mermaid? It lifts on Monday at 9 a.m. All right, let's get to the Q&A. I can see you guys are ready. All right, Q&A time, baby. 10 minutes till 5:12. You can ask me anything you'd like. I don't have to answer you, but you can try it. iReady says, what are your thoughts on Melissa McCarthy's Poor Unfortunate Souls? Oh, well, I'm not reviewing it yet, but I'll just say it was way better than I anticipated. I was impressed. The Delicate Genius, I appreciate you wanting an update on my X-Men casting ideas, but we're so close to them actually doing it that I'm just getting ready to report on when they actually cast them. Wade says, will a SAG strike shut down U.S. productions in the UK? Yes, because they cannot work for anybody. Sean says, Indiana Jones 5 got lukewarm reactions at Cannes. Oh, that's sad. Everybody looked amazing. Phoebe Waller-Bridge looked so beautiful. I was like, if only you were handling your publicity better. She looked gorgeous. But I'm sad, but I'm not surprised. Juan Gabriel says, Twitter is saying David Diggs is all set up for the thing. Oh, well, I just see them. I don't know if he's accepted. Let's see. I see a lot of scoop. I mean, let me just tell you, that's like a story that's been around for like weeks. And I think it's funny that all of a sudden everybody was like, oh, now it's legit. I think it's still just a possibility. Ouroboros says, thoughts on Henry Cavill for Gunn's Batman? No, that's not going to happen. Let's see here. Kyle says, Grace, do you still think the Mermaid has $1 billion? Has to make $1 billion to be successful. I think it would be unfortunate if it doesn't make $1 billion. I think a lot of people who are hating on the movie will use that as ammunition. I don't personally think it needs to make $1 billion. If it can come in at $700-800 million, I think that would be fine. But if it comes in at less than that, if it's got like a 6 in front of it, that's going to be disappointing. Those movies are supposed to make $1 billion or close to it. Finky says, still need a June watch-along movie. How about The Birdcage or Tu Wong Fu? Oh, for LGBT Pride Month. That's a good idea, Finky. I'll think of that. That's a great idea. I think I should let you guys vote on what you'd like to watch. I don't think I should pick the LGBT movie for us to watch. Let's see here. Because, I'm an ally, not a member of the community. So I can't tell you what to watch to celebrate your month, but I can certainly celebrate with you. Zaire says, what are your thoughts on Five Nights at Freddy's? I'm surprised it's such a big thing. I'm not seeing it at the moment, but I certainly am recognizing its popularity and respecting it. But I'm not like, I would not have any interest in that if I didn't know it had a large fan base. To me, the trailer looked like more like just a Stranger Things ripoff. Oh, I probably annoyed some people with that comment, but I can't help you. I can't help it. That's how I think it looks. 80s Model, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. Always so generous of you. Hold on, I'm coming up here. I got more questions. I passed some. All right, so I have Sean says, are you surprised by Fast X's low Rotten Tomatoes score? No, that's pretty typical for that franchise. Let me see what it currently is. I think people are pretty mean to the franchise. 55. That's fine. If it goes below, if it has a 4 in front of it, then I'm going to think it's really mean. But, at this point, I don't think Fast and Furious needs good reviews. I think the fact that it's not 40 or 30% means it's good. And people, let's see how people go. I thought it was a really fun movie. Daniel says, would you like to go to the Academy Museum in Los Angeles? I'll tell you a funny story about that. So I liked seeing your question. At one point before the pandemic, I wanted to go to Los Angeles. Well, I was thinking, I don't remember how it came up, but I was thinking of going to Los Angeles. And I was talking to someone I know who lives there, and I said, can we go to the Academy Museum? And they said they had already been. And they said they had such a horrible time that they would drop me off and pick me up when I was done. If I really wanted to go. They were like, I can't do it again. So I was like, okay, I'm good. So I thought that was very funny. Owen says, do you see Barbie clearing $500 million or maybe getting close to $1 billion? I showed my dad the Barbie trailer the other day, and he loved it. He was going crazy. He loves Ryan Gosling. He was like, oh, this looks so funny. But if they get too political, like I think that they are, then I think that's going to hurt the film. So I have to see what the final version of it is before I can predict box office. Zaire said, I already answered that. Ivan says, is there any chance that any of the OG Guardians can show up in Avengers Kang Dynasty? For sure. I think they said Star-Lord's going to return. He's coming back, or at least he is. Bartleby the Scrivener. Hey, Bartleby. Thoughts on some of your YouTube peers switching to podcast form? Oh, I know who you're talking about. And abandoning the YouTube space. Do you find YouTube still relevant for live streaming? I like that you put a heart at the end of that very, very aggressive question. I have a policy of not talking about other YouTubers, and I wish other YouTubers would follow the same policy. So I do not comment on that. I also don't like commenting on my own business. So I'll just say that people should do what they want. And that's all I'll say on it. I appreciate, Bartleby, you asking the question. I know you had to do it, but I just don't like comment. I just, I can't do it. I'm sorry. All right. Anna says, will the SAG strike affect actors on Broadway? No, I believe that is a different union. This is so it's because, it's Screen Actors Guild. So maybe they'll all go to Broadway, although I think people would think that was uncool. Cole Jackson says, did you watch the last Succession episode? So realistic and terrifying. Yeah, it was incredible. Loved it. This whole season's been fire. And also, by the way, I don't know if they could have done it if it hadn't been for them ending the show. Because part of me for a minute was like, it's so sad that it's ending. But I do think that I think that they couldn't have made the bold moves that they're currently making if not for that aspect. Juan distracted me with an amazing question. Is Star-Lord leading the Avengers? I haven't heard that. I don't think he would lead the Avengers, but I can see him being on the Avengers. I can't believe that didn't occur to me. What a great idea. Because a lot of people are like, a lot of people are complaining about, have made unfortunate complaints, let's just say, about some of the MCU lineups. But if you stuck Star-Lord on there, I think that would quiet a bunch of people down. I like that idea a lot. Daniel says, do you think the writer's strike will be over by the Emmys? When are the Emmys? I think it's going to be over by September. I think this strike is going to last all summer long, which really sucks. I mean, as you can see, it's hard to come up with stuff for the live streams. There's very few casting, there's a lack of news, but, it's got to be done or there'll be no industry down the line. Let's see here. Jason says, for the amount of heartache the museum caused with the construction, it's sad that it's not good. Yeah. How do you mess that up? Right. Extofer7 says, how do you feel about Marvel killing Ms. Marvel on a Spider-Man comic? Not even Miles is Spider-Man, but Peter's. Well, I guess they wanted to make sure people read it. I said it. I was so upset with making her a mutant that I just don't really care anymore. All right. Let's see here. TS16 says, how many of the Disney theme parks have you been to? Oh, great question. I've been to Disneyland. I've been to California Adventure. I've been, of course, to Disney World, all those parks down there multiple times. And I've also been to Disneyland Paris and Hollywood Studios there, whatever it's called. And it was just absolutely a delight every time. I would love to be able to go to the Asia parks, the parks in Asia, particularly Tokyo Disneyland and Disney Sea, which are just a dream come true. Oh, I would love to go there so much. I also hear Japan is so clean, and I'm a germaphobe and stuff like that, and I just think I would really get along. I think that would really be a good place. So hopefully someday I can go there. Mark says, hey Grace, just wondering how we can help you get to 1 million subscribers. Part of me feels I might start saying and asking people to subscribe at the beginning of the video. Maybe I'll start that, maybe I'll start that in maybe June. Maybe I'll start doing that in the front. So it's hard. It's hard to know what to do. That's all I'll say on it. Again, I don't like talking about my business. Croc says, do you know when you'll be seeing The Flash? I just got tickets to see it with my husband, Neb. Oh, your husband's Neb? Oh, hello. I think I unblocked you at his request. It's nice to see both of you. On Monday at the LA fan screening. Everybody's going to see this movie before the rest of us. Warner Brothers told me that critic screenings are in June. So I think they want to get a bunch of fans being like, it's so good. And as I joked yesterday, I mean, the movie might be amazing. But I thought it was funny that they got Stephen King to say it was good. I'm like, what about today's society makes you think that people want to hear what movies they think they should say? I thought that was just so tone deaf. I was shocked that they thought that would work. Especially because Stephen King's been fighting with people recently. I don't know why he would do that. But anyway, I suspect, I have not seen the movie. I know people who've seen it, and I've heard that it is good. My concern, though, is that it's pointless. That's my concern. There's just no reason to see it, it's not the start of anything. It's not the end of anything. So the question is, with such a crowded June, and people are going to be spending a lot of money that month, do you need to go see it in the theaters? And I suspect the answer is probably no. But I'm hoping that I can give you a different answer once I see it. Alfonso, that's right, baby, you're commenting. Oh, it's 5:12. I love talking to you guys. I talk to you for much longer than I'm supposed to. Steven says, heads up, New York City is having a Malibu Barbie pop-up cafe. I saw that. I didn't really look like my speed, but I did see the ad for it. I think they took over the Golden Girls space, so that in itself was funny. Katie Lady says, LA Dodgers just banned the Sisters of Perpetual Intelligence from their Pride event, citing drag event. I can't comment on that, Katie Lady. I don't know enough about what's going on there. That seems pretty serious. Let's see here. But by the way, Croc and Neb, I hope you guys have a great time. Let's see here. I think we're pretty good here. Thanks, Poke. Luis, I'm not usually a horror fan, so I don't really know if I'm going to be covering Boogeyman. Marvelous Jack says, Grace, do you think we will see Henry Cavill as Captain Britain? I think it's unlikely. I told you that Henry Cavill, a lot of you don't want to believe it, although what more evidence do you need at this point? Henry Cavill has a reputation for being difficult to work with. It's why he gets very little work in Hollywood, and I think that's going to continue to be the case. Oh, Mika says May Calamawy from Moon Knight and White Lotus is Fred Heckinger. He's great. They both are. He replaced Barry Keoghan. That's actually a very good Barry Keoghan replacement. Just joined Gladiator 2. I'm so happy for her from Moon Knight. She was great on that show. So I'm really happy she got something so big. And then Wanda the Witch says, Grace, you should post juicy parts of your videos as YouTube shorts. I'm thinking of doing that, Wanda. I'm thinking of doing that. So thank you for the recommendation. It makes me feel even more so that I should do it. And Ryan says, hey, Grace, only 2 more episodes of Maisel. Hope it ends well. I've seen the final episode, and it does end well, so get excited. And Jason says, calling people's issues with the female lineup unfortunate isn't fair. If they did great versions of the characters, people would be cool. But they're also, I don't know, Jason. I think, again, it's a problem of extremism, right? Like, I think that She-Hulk is not that bad, to be honest with you, right? I think there's certainly room for improvement, but I think it's the tone and the viciousness of the criticism. I think people really need to watch that, Jason says, plus people want to see themselves on screen. Are dudes now exempt from that wish now as well? Jason, I respect where you're coming from. And I totally agree that everybody should be represented. Everybody, including guys. But again, I think that you're not doing yourselves any favors, certain aspects, certainly not all men, but there are groups of men who aren't doing themselves any favors with the way they handle themselves. You really want to bring people to the negotiation table. You get more flies with honey than with vinegar and all that. All right, shout out time. Okay. Daniel says, Grace, what's your favorite 90s movie? I'll tell you one thing. Swingers and Jerry Maguire always stand out for me because when I was really little, I was calling up the video store. Like, you had to call up the video store back in the day, and they would deliver you videos by like a person, and it was VHS. And so, they had a delivery service. And so I was very into movies, even as a very small child. So we were like, what new releases do you have? And they were like, Swingers. And we were like, we've seen that. What else do you have? And they go, Jerry Maguire just came out. And we were like, seen that. What else do you have? And it got to a point where he just kept saying Swingers and Jerry Maguire over and over again. And we kept saying, we've seen both those movies. What other things do you have? And it was just very funny. And it just shows how much things have changed. But that was a funny, very early memory for me. So I'll always kind of think of those things. My family still jokes about that. Silver Scale, I used to love going to the video store. I liked going to the video store until you would be like, yes, they have what I want. And then you'd realize it was just the cover for the display and they didn't actually have it in stock. That happened to me so many times. That was really annoying. Also, every time, just like going to a bookstore, I always had to use the ladies' room whenever I went to, whenever you're browsing. And it was just really frustrating. You'd be like, I gotta find a video or a thing. Okay. All right, shout out time. Sorry, I got distracted with story time. All right. What's everybody doing? Give me some stuff. Screen Favorite says, I'm eating a meatloaf sandwich and getting ready to play trivia. Oh, that sounds fun. Pokemonly fan is in Munich playing Pokemon and shiny hunting. That's awesome. You're really living the Pokemon life over there. Vincent Rodriguez says, good morning, Grace. Lots of love from the Philippines. Oh, it's morning over there. Oh, hello. Good morning to you, too. It's Friday for you. Jay King says, can't wait for our watch-along. You've never seen the original Little Mermaid? Oh, yeah, that's a reminder. I don't know if there are going to be any videos tomorrow, but there is a live stream watch-along for BTT Movie Club members only. So upgrade or join today. But it'll be at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I tried to pick a time where everybody could join, at least, hopefully East, West Coast, and Europe at the very most. I apologize if you can't join live. So we're going to be watching that tomorrow, and it's, of course, available on Disney+. Ross says, how do I upgrade? You should be able to upgrade on the main page. If not, cancel your membership and then rejoin as the higher level. That's what I've recommended to some people who can't get it to work. Hal, I'm glad you're a member. I'm glad you got a gifted membership. The Salazar says, I'm home for lunch, eating McDonald's. Oh, so jealous. Katie Lady says, it's Thursday, 2:18 p.m. in Glendale, California. Awesome. Ronnie says, in D.C. playing Fortnite and listening to my favorite YouTuber. What a nice thing to say. Aw. Fatine says, in the car going to pick up my daughter, thinking of tonight's chicken tacos for dinner. That sounds tasty. Hello to your daughter. That's awesome. It sounds like she's getting ready to come home for a party. Mish says, I just finished Clone Wars Season 1. Slow burn, but going strong, preparing for Ahsoka. Boy, you're really watching a lot, Mish. I'm just doing Rebels. Jason says, the toxic you're rolling about is like a few hundred hateful dudes that have nothing to do but flood Twitter with hate. I don't know what to tell you, Jason. They're effective. Let's see here. Steven Turner says, I just got a Little Mermaid-themed manicure. Ooh, and now Ubering. Oh, you're going to the drag show today. That's right. Oh, Steven, send me some pictures. I hope that it's really fun. Adam Kupka says, 11:19 in Prague, about to go to sleep. Oh, sweet dreams. Sweet dreams, Adam. Aaliyah says, can I VPN my IP address and get my direct deposit sooner? I don't know. Let's see here. Denzel says, working on a rug and watching the stream. Oh, what do you mean working on a rug? Are you making a rug? That's pretty cool. Kirsten Dunn says, recruiting mercenaries for the Grace Randolph Defense Squad in Connecticut. That's very sweet of you. Thank you. As long as we just have a good time, I think that's all that's important. Wandering Seth says, I just discovered Riverdale and I'm binging. Oh, I thought it got bad, but maybe if you can power through it, maybe you can get to the good part again. Oh, look, Staggerove, that's very generous of you. Hi, Grace. I've been watching you since the 2009 Marvel Disney announcement and a 2-month subscriber. I just wanted to ask if Comcast does end up buying Warner Brothers, do you think they'll rename the Peacock streaming service? Yes, I do. Well, first of all, thank you for watching me for such a long time. I appreciate it. And I do think so. I do think that they will just consolidate into one streaming service. And I hope they do purchase Warner Brothers. Owen says, I work in a movie theater and I'm scared to death for tomorrow as it's Fast X Day. Well, I hope it's good. You want a lot of business, right? I hope it's a party. J.A. is getting ready to go to sleep. That's a funny use of a picture there that you used there. That was funny. Vincent says, you are the best, Grace. Thank you for all that you do. Oh, I recently lost my great uncle, but your videos have been very helpful. I'm sorry for your loss, Vincent, and I'm glad we can cheer you up a little bit. Mr. Andrew says, I've passed my bedtime, but this great stream was worth it. Greetings from Spain. Oh, hello to you across the ocean. I'm sorry we kept you up late. And then 80s Model says, rewatching WandaVision. I missed when it launched. Me too. That was a special time, wasn't it? It was during the pandemic. We were all getting up at the crack of dawn. It was a great show. Daniel says, about to watch last night's Vanderpump Rules in Scotland. Oh, are you now? Scotland's great, obviously. But Vanderpump Rules, I've been seeing that really gaining in popularity, but it's just not for me. And then I'm glad you're enjoying it, though. Motivator Crew says, I just finished my 5-hour route and was listening to your show. Now I'm going to go home and watch Mario Brothers. Oh, wow. It sounds like you're having a great Thursday. All right, everybody, I better get going. I had a lovely time talking to you, as always. I hope you're having a lovely day. And if you're going to join for the watch-along tomorrow, I look forward to seeing you at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If not, the next video will be Movie Math on Sunday, and we'll see how Fast X does. All right, everybody. Oh, I do have hoodie merch, Luis. If you go to my website, if you click on below the channel, you'll see some pictures, and it should take you to the full site. And I do have a number of hoodies that are available. So let me know if you like one of them. All right,